just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, this is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 238. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz, and we are presented by DraftKings. Monster trade for the New York Knicks and Minnesota Timberwolves goes down. The implications for the Knicks in the future, what this means for the Nets, and all the draft picks that they own from the Knicks. We are presented by DraftKings. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Hit subscribe. Watch us for all great content. And we just implemented our instant reaction podcast, which you can find on this feed as well, where you can hear our instant reactions when things go down. Find it on YouTube. Also find it here on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Big trade goes down, Alex. I wanted to record with you last night. You weren't available. How are you?
Yeah. Mike was asleep, and I also wanted to go live on this episode, but Mike just didn't want to go live.
Shut the fuck up. I'm not. No fights on this. First of all, no fights on this episode.
Mike wanted to go live, and I didn't
want to go live.
And then Mike twisted my arm to do it, and I was like, all right, fine, we'll do it. And then we didn't have the software, so we couldn't do it. So
I think people would like to hear us live and would interact with us.
I would do it. Yeah. I wanted to plan it out, but like instead of just randomly dropping live at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, I mean,
less people would watch. I'm a spur of the moment guy, because I think sometimes planning out, for me at least, can cause
anxiety.
But I was just kind of in the moment feeling it. I thought it'd be fun to try it out, but
Well, I would have done it last night when the trade happened, but someone was asleep. And
but first of all, you can't put blame on me for being asleep. I didn't know that he was going to get fucking traded on a Friday night. I was exhausted, and I
don't know. I talked to your wife, and I heard that you saw the trade. Then you said, "Fuck this, I'm going to sleep," and then that was it.
There's one thing about me that will be true. I will never hide from Knicks smoke. I will never do that. And I think my track record on this podcast has proven that I have never done that.
Right.
I woke up this morning, Alex, and I had 18 unread text messages.
And missed calls.
I didn't see the missed calls right away, but the texts I saw immediately. And I truly thought something horrific had happened in my life. And I was relieved when I saw that it was just a blockbuster NBA trade. Because who wakes up with 18 text messages?
You felt like your favorite Nets player died or something, right?
I don't know what it was, but I did put my phone purposely on. So I wanted rest. It had been a long week.
You've been Mike has been under the weather this week, so
sick. I've been working doubles. I've been working. I was toast, dude. And then I woke up and I saw it. But
you're like, Friday night, let me get to bed. I can wake up a little late. Let me get some rest.
You missed
the biggest trade of the year.
My instant reaction. Well, I've been through so many trades. I don't put this bigger than the Mikal trade because for me, at
between
least,
the two teams. Yeah, exactly.
Now,
exactly.
I can't speak for your perspective, and I wouldn't. You have the right to think whatever you want to think. But from mine, it wasn't as big because of the implications. So for me, the instant reaction, I put one out this morning, was basically, even though it was hours later, for me, Alex, it was still an hour later because it was the morning.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good place to start, actually, comparing the shockingness of the Mikal Bridges trade and the Karl Anthony Towns trade. I think I was equally shocked for both.
Not me.
Honestly, Towns came out of left field, especially with training camp starting in like a couple days. But Mikal Bridges, like we got told by Jake Fisher on this podcast, one of the top NBA reporters in the world. And he said it's not going to happen unless Jalen says, I want him. And apparently he did, because it happened. And, we were both shocked, and Town stuff. Like honestly, we thought we had the team. We thought this was the team. Everybody thought their teams are set. And then all of a sudden, like, it's not like the Dame Lillard stuff where it was rumored to be traded all summer, or the Donovan Mitchell stuff where it was rumored to be traded all summer. And then it happens right before camp where you're like, finally, this is like, you didn't even know. Even Towns didn't even know. So I think the Town stuff might be a little bit more shocking from that regard, because you just call it totally off guard, So with that, it's just crazy, man. I don't know. Which one do you think was more shocking for you?
I'll go with the Bridges one all day because I don't
Yeah.
think the Nets and Knicks don't make trades. And if you look at
Right.
this from a talent landscape, and we'll get into the deal,
Hmm.
the Knicks are giving up a lot. Obviously, they're getting a lot in return. And I do think because the Bridges trade happened, I'm not as shocked by things that happen anymore. I think it kind of numbed me to that. Where this one, I got over it quicker in the shock value factor. The Mikel one threw me for a loop. It took me 18 times to read the tweets. I didn't believe it at first, and a lot of that has to do with it's my team. But I
Yeah.
wasn't shocked with the one because we had, you say we haven't been hearing about it. But Carl Anthony Towns has been on the trade block forever.
Right. 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 Knicks have been rumored forever.
Julian
Yeah.
Randle and the Knicks, even though things have gone well, there's always been this feeling of this is not going to last forever.
Contract year. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
eventually, it did happen. I'd love to get into this trade because
All right. Let's do it.
I do think that this helps the Knicks. I think this makes the Knicks a better basketball team. Offensively, I think Cat and Jalen Brunson are going to have incredible chemistry. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. And first, I'm going to put a disclaimer above everything I say here because anything I say will always be under the microscope of you hate the Knicks. If you have any negative points, it's because you're a Knick hater. So everything I say here will come with a disclaimer of this is all coming from my heart. This is all true. Please, when I make positive or negative points, do not go at me because you hate the Knicks.
We are an
Okay.
IBO, like Evan Roberts says, an
No.
independent basketball observer.
Fine. For this point, it is. I think Brunson and Cat are going to have incredible chemistry offensively. I think what they do together in the pick and roll, the top of the key, they are going to be disruptive and they are going to be electric, that good offensively. I really, really, really believe that. Julius Randle did not play in the second half plus of last season, and the Knicks clearly showed they were a very good basketball team without him. Towns slides nicely into everything that they do. And it's not like it's a puzzle piece that fits. And I really respect the Knicks for going for it and not just resting on let's run them back. They traded for Mikal Bridges. They traded for Karl Anthony Towns. This is a different looking basketball team than it was last year. And it's all led by Jalen Brunson and guys that go around him. I respect that. There are definitely some areas of concern at the same time with them. Anthony Towns defensively will be a liability. And don't be shocked if in big games, at the end of games, he is not on the court. That is something that will happen with the Knicks. This guy is soft and he does have problems in big moments. And that was in Minnesota. And this is going to be in New York with the Knicks. So that is something to be leery of. I do think it's a good trade for the Knicks. I do think it's better. I don't think they have as much depth. I do think now, though, they have a secondary scorer that can get 30 plus and which is something I had talked about before. Who's the second guy that can score? They have that. The only part of it that's scary is the guy is soft. He's in New York and it's a little bit of a chemistry break. And as much as I think that this does help the Knicks, I do think there's more of a bust implication where stuff can go wrong. I do think they have a better chance of winning. I also do think they have a better chance of really completely blowing up, which would help the Nets.
Right. Well, that's obviously because the Nets have the Knicks picks. We'll get into the Nets stuff a little bit more and how this affects the Nets. But maybe the Knicks were tired of Randle, secretly. He's come up small in the playoffs a lot. And he's been injured now 2 straight years with surgeries, and maybe and the contract year they offered him an extension. Obviously, they lowballed him like they lowball everybody on the roster, and he didn't take it. And just like quickly, a few months later, he was shipped out. So it's kind of the way Leon Rose has gone. If you look at it that way, it's also one thing that really bugged me. What you just said, not what you said, but what makes sense, but it's bugging me is that there could be times in crunch time that he's not on the floor, Towns. And if you're making $50+ million a year, you better be on the floor in crunch time, and you better be one of the guys who's hitting the big shots. Because if you're not, then why did we trade DiVincenzo and Randle for you? If we could have just had the continuity of those guys and just ran it back with them and not had your bloated ass contract on the books for the next 4 years, so the bullseye is going to be on Karl Anthony Towns. And if the Knicks don't win a championship, if the Knicks don't get to the finals of the Eastern Conference Finals,
Yeah.
he's going to get all of the blame. And I can't say that that's totally unfair. I can say, how do I say this? Randle was a fan favorite for a large portion of the fan base. But another large portion of the fan base also hated him. And like myself, I liked him, disliked him, started to like him again a little bit in the January we'll never forget. But the writing was on the wall, like you said. You kind of expected him to go. Dante DiVincenzo became a fan favorite. He had big shots, putback dunks. He was the man this year. He stepped up. He didn't even start in the rotation last year. And he was one of the most counted on players in the entire organization last year in a great season when everybody went down. Losing him for a guy who makes $50 million, and then you're going to tell me he might not be on the floor in crunch time in Towns, that's not acceptable. He needs to be out there. He needs to be the guy who's getting the ball as the number 2. He needs to be the guy who's going to be the multi-time all-star and all-NBA player and not just stuffing the stat sheet, like winning championships, like winning a lot of games, maybe hitting some game winners, things of that nature. Jalen Brunson had to sign off on this also because you don't trade one of your best friends as the runner of this franchise. Jalen Brunson runs the team. He is signing off on every major deal. He's not signing off on a Daquan Jeffries. Like, I'm sure he couldn't give a shit about that. Right. But something like trading Dante DiVincenzo, trading for Mikal Bridges, and maybe, just maybe, trading for Mikal Bridges made Dante DiVincenzo say, all right, writing's on the wall here. I got to go. Not because he was tired of the Villanova connection and all that fun stuff that Mike hates, but because he's like, I was the man here last year and I helped us win games and we can win with me. We might have won a championship last year with me starting if we didn't get all injured. And now I'm going to the bench for Mikal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So there's a lot there's something there to that with DiVincenzo where he might have been like, all right, it's time to go. Like RJ Barrett. I love being a Knick, but you know what? It's not going to work here. You know what I mean? It was time to go. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about that?
As somebody that has experience with a lot of drama and bullshit, I will tell you there is a little, there's a little part of me that was like, this is a little netsy with just going in on that and disruption. There is a little bit of it. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson is a killer, and I mean that in the best way possible. That guy wants to win. That guy is a winner
at all costs.
He has proven it throughout his career at Villanova. He was great when Luka was out in Dallas. He comes to the Knicks and he's transformed them into a top team. But there is a misconception that he is not a superstar like other superstars. And I'm sorry, he wants to win and he doesn't care. Like, DiVincenzo is a good player, but he said, I want to win. And it was at the cost of a podcast, roommate, guest. Boom, it happened. And I don't want this to be a slight on Jalen Brunson, but I want people to realize that, he might do podcasts, he might have live shows, but at the end of the day, the guy wants to win. Okay. And it's not about friendships. It's about winning basketball games. And that's what he cares about. I love too, all of the Knicks content creators all of a sudden being like, well, Julius Randle's had the bad arm. We don't really know. So I respect that. When a week ago it was, I'll be healthy. I'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
It shifts fast.
The flip-floppers, man. Don't get me started on the Knicks. Some of the Knicks content creators, they always have to take the positive spin and take the organization's side and do whatever that happened and ride the wave of positivity and never stand on their own 2 feet. Give me a break.
This has started, and I say this, I believe this. The Knicks can win a championship better this year than they could have 24 hours ago, 25 hours ago. But I do think it does start the crack where you could have something poorly start. Where, I mean, both can be true with what I'm saying. Towns is owed $222 million over the next 4 years. That's a lot of fucking money. If the Knicks come up flat and like, there is the possibility for bad things, but also You got a guy that can score 30 points a game. He's going to be brilliant next side of Jalen Brunson. And he, in New York now, is going to have to prove it when it counts that he can do it. And it's all about those playoff games. And it's going to be magnified even more, right, Alex? Because as you have told me, people remember you more for how you perform in New York. And people remember Carl Anthony Towns for how he's performed in Minnesota when it was going great or going poorly. Imagine what it's going to be like in New York. It's going to be magnified. And now there are magnifying glasses on the Knicks because they're all in. This is it, man. It's for anything else, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating. Knicks are going to exploit teams all over the court offensively. I don't know how you're going to stop Brunson and Towns in versus all these shitty teams and good teams in the regular season. But it's going to come down to those moments in the playoffs. But I like the trade for the Knicks. I think they improved. I do. I think they take a hit in the regular season. I think they win less regular season games. But I think that they have, they have a complete roster. They have a complete top 5, and it's just how he performs in the playoffs.
Yeah, and we also don't know what the final trade's going to be. It turns out they're going to probably move your boy Bates Diop and Daquan Jeffries. That's why I brought him up. He was on top of my mind.
Whatever.
But Charlotte's getting involved. The trade's not finalized. Like the Bridges trade, it takes like 2 weeks to finalize trades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cap and all that nonsense. And they drop Marcus Morris, and they'll probably bring him back. I don't know. Who knows? That's for another podcast to bore you with that stuff. But it's I don't know, man.
Do you like it?
I'm so confused on this trade. Like I really am. Where on one hand, I love that they're going for it. On the other hand, if you look at stats, I know stats don't tell the whole story. Randle and Towns stats are not much different. And Towns makes $50 million a year for the next 4 years, and Randle has 1 more year left. And we lost DiVincenzo. That's like, it's just like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I know the fit on paper makes sense, but Towns is known as soft.
Yeah.
And this is not an easy place to play in New York City.
No.
And if you think it's Minnesota was hard and just getting, the All-Star all the time, it's hard, man.
Wow.
It's the heaviest uniform in the league. And I know it is, Mike. I mean, you mock the Knicks stuff, but I'm not the only one who says this. These are ex-players say this stuff. Nobody wanted to smoke. Now all of a sudden, the Knicks are playing well, and people want to come here, and that's fine. But there is I can't give you an honest answer because I honestly don't know. I'm still a little in shock because I just can't believe that Towns is on the Knicks and Knicks actually traded Randle the week that he is helping open a school for Earl of Pearl Monroe in the Bronx. There's an event? What? We were just on with the Knicks recap, Troy from Knicks recap this week. We're like, oh, they're never trading Randle. They just had him at a school. They're donating a gym in his name. He donated, raised all this money. Look at Clyde Frazier, Tim Thomas, Adam Silver, Tibbs. Everyone's there hugging him with his little tie. And all of a sudden he's gone.
I can't wait for Jalen Brunson to be like, oh man, we were surprised, but he's a brother.
Oh yeah,
we're
bullshit.
All friends,
yeah.
We had the opportunity to get a guy in Towns, and first of all, this is me speculating. I feel like this trade had been in the works since Mitch got hurt, and they've known about this for a while. But out of respect,
that's fair.
They couldn't make the trade before Julius's event, and they waited till after. That's my thought. I really don't think I think they were like, why would you make that trade? Then he has the event. With all the
It's
Knicks
weird. It would have been so weird. Yeah.
It's like, all right, let's okay. Here's Tom.
It's like a fantasy trade.
Like what? What would they have done?
It's like a fantasy trade where you're going to accept the trade, but you wait like a day, and then the next day you just hit accept.
I believe that.
You know what I mean? They left it on unread in the inbox, and they're like, all right, yeah, let's do it now. That's crazy. And that means Tibbs had to know about it. So Tibbs is at this event, and he knows.
100%. That's why he was.
There's no way Clyde knows. There's no way Clyde knows. No way Pearl knows. No way Adam Silver. No way all those guys know. But Tibbs knows.
Has to.
Yeah. And Randle might have known too. Honestly. I mean, the CAA connections and you know what I'm saying?
I don't think he knew. I
So
don't
you
think
think
he
Tibbs
knew.
is sitting there smiling like that at a Knicks event,
Tom
knowing he's
Thibodeau.
about to trade Randle like that? I don't know.
So then,
For
also, you're
Towns,
telling.
who he apparently hated when he was in Minnesota,
I think
when he
they
coached
knew
him.
that trade comes that fast after. Let me put it this way. Then, if you're right, Leon Rose knew, and
Oh
Leon
yeah,
Rose in
yeah,
Minnesota. I don't know. The GMs are there.
yeah. Alex Rodriguez knew. Yes.
They had. There's no way that they were like, oh yeah, you want that's a heavy trade, man. And
Yeah.
we're not going to go into detail on the Minnesota angle, but for this organization who was at the Western Conference Finals, let's not forget Minnesota was very close to
Yeah.
making they beat Denver, where Towns did play well.
Right.
Their superstar is clearly Anthony Edwards, and they're building around him. This is a heavy trade for them on a lot of different fronts because, and like I've said before, I think the East and the West right now, you're not going to have teams that just consistent. I think the Celtics will, but there's going to be a revolving doors that make it because of just how much parity there is in the NBA. But with that said, this is a Minnesota team that went to the Western Conference Finals. They were very close to the NBA Finals, until they got buzzsawed by Dallas. But Towns is a big part of that. And if you watch those games, man, versus Dallas, that's where Towns wasn't on the court. This is for me. I felt a lot of anxiety when Mikal Bridges got dealt to the Knicks because I was like, oh my God, like this sucks.
Yeah.
This trade for me, even though I do believe in my heart it makes the Knicks better, I think there's just this part of it that could there's something about this that makes me enjoy it a little because it is on now. And if now it's like, you better not fuck this up after
It's the
making
Harden
this
trade
kind
for
of
the
trade.
Nets. It's the Harden trade for the Nets.
It's the hard.
Really.
Yeah, there's some Netsy to it. It's the
Yeah.
Harden deal.
It is 100% the Harden trade. It really is.
There's nothing left. The Knicks have no trades left. I mean,
No.
this is it. They're
No.
done. We said it after Bridges, but now there is nothing left to trade.
So this offseason, the Knicks traded Bogdanovich, Randle, DiVincenzo for Bridge and a bunch of picks, all their picks
A lot of draft picks.
for Bridges and Towns.
Yeah.
Deuce McBride time, man, on the bench.
And
That's really what it is.
And he'll step
Yeah,
up.
I love
I
him.
don't see
He's
why
gonna be
he
great.
wouldn't. He's going to
Yeah.
be great. He's going to be great. And they knew they have that luxury. He's
And they believe in Tyler Kolek too, man. The point guard, the rookie. I feel like they believe in him also. Like as he showed. I mean, it's a summer league, but he was supposed to be a first round pick in a lot of mock drafts, and he has that attitude, that swagger. Like I feel like there's something there, and they know. And the Knicks have nailed those late first, early seconds in the past with good Quickleys and these guys. So and Mitchell Robinson, whatever. We'll see. But now they don't have to rely on Sims. I mean, just for the first 2 months of the season until Mitchell Robinson comes back. Yeah, you did. You did nail that.
There's
you did
no
nail
way
that.
they trust this guy.
Yeah,
No
you did nail
way.
that. But they're gonna, and then they have pressures. So who's their bench now? Deuce McBride. Well, I guess Hart goes to the starting lineup, right?
He'd be
So
the 4.
so starting lineups: Brunson, Hart, Bridges, OG, and Towns.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
OG can guard everything, and that's fine. But that's still a weird lineup. And then you have the bench when Mitch comes back. You have Mitch, Deuce,
You can't put Mitch in there yet.
Kolek.
It's gonna be you can't.
Let's
put
pull
Mitch
up the
in
Knicks
there.
roster. I'm like drawing blanks here.
Yeah, but they've lost depth. I mean, they definitely
They
have.
did.
with no iHeart.
They have
DiVincenzo
Precious now.
gone.
Still, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Like
It's
I
very
said, the depth
strange.
is not. They no longer have the best bench in the NBA. They don't.
No, they
They
don't.
don't.
But now their
they
starting
know.
lineup might be better.
And
That's the thing.
I've said on this podcast, my fear with the Knicks is they don't have a secondary scorer to go along with Brunson. They clearly do now. They clearly
I
do.
forgot
now.
they have Landry Shamet and Campaign also
Yeah.
on the bench.
Right, but they're fine. But those are intent. Those are guys.
And can we? I was listening to some spaces and some, because Mike, you were asleep, so I was trying. I needed
Stop
the
with
content.
Stop with this.
Fell
You're gonna-
asleep. And I wanted to record, so I wanted content. So I was listening to some spaces. I won't drop the names. And I was reading some things on Twitter all day, and I was trying to stay off of the tweeting and the power tweeting like I sometimes do when big things happen, because I wanted to at least save it for the podcast. One of the things I saw, I couldn't help but tweet it out, that people were like, Well, Landry Shamet can shoot threes. He'll just step into DiVincenzo's role on the bench.
He's not DiVincenzo.
Can we stop disrespecting Dante DiVincenzo like that? Landry Shamet is not that good. And Mike, you know that as a Nets guy. And this was years ago that the Nets traded a first round pick for him. You know what I'm saying? And
who became
how did that work out? Who became who?
What was the pick? I'm blanking on the now.
Oh, that one.
He was in.
I didn't know that.
Detroit.
I didn't know it became anybody good.
Nah.
Who? Isaiah Stewart?
No, it's
You said Detroit.
Hold on. He was on the Hawks last year. This is gonna. People are
gonna drive you nuts.
Yeah,
you can't even think about anything else.
Sadiq Bey.
Okay. Yeah, well, the good shooter. You know what I mean? That could have been the guy.
Sadiq Bey's a good player. Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, but he's Landry Shamet. You know what I mean? He's a journeyman. He's campaign. He's like a guy like that. He's a guy that's gonna be on three or four more teams before he's done in the NBA. It's just he might not even make the whole season with the Knicks, and it's. Give me a break. Dante DiVincenzo's a player. He proved he's a legitimate player. Even before the Knicks, he proved he was a legitimate player. He won championship. I know he's hurt, but he's been around the block, and he's a good player, and he's going to be a major piece for the Minnesota Timberwolves if they don't flip him for whatever. But just stop that. You know what I mean? Stop that. It's not. This is not 2K. You know what I mean? And it's just so strange now. Like I don't even know what to think. You know what I mean? Going into the season, I was like, oh, Knicks are going to win a championship. They're going to at least be in the finals this year. That's just like I was 100% guaranteed in my head that was going to happen. Now with Towns, like you said, yes, they are better on paper, but there is that question mark now where it can all blow up in the Knicks' face completely. And that's scary. That is very, very scary where you have a question mark in Karl Anthony Towns that makes $50 million a year. Now, it could work. He's from Edison. He grew up a Knicks fan. He wanted the Knicks to win the lottery, like most top picks coming out of the draft did when the Knicks were at the top of the lottery. And it's maybe he knows he grew up. I don't know. Maybe he's ready for it. Maybe he wanted to be here all along. I don't know. I mean, the rumors are that he was shocked and he didn't see it coming. And he was ready for another season in Minnesota. But I don't like the idea of having a $50 million per year question mark on the roster. But I'm going to root for him and hope the Knicks win anyway. You know,
I wouldn't quantify it as a question mark, but I mean, he is a defensive liability. So there's spots at the end of games.
Yeah.
That could happen. I mean, that could be a possibility. That's not out of the realm. That's interesting to hear you say that because you were really steadfast on the Knicks winning a championship. It's funny because I think this makes the Knicks better, but
it's a boomer bust trade. It's a boomer bust trade. Yeah.
But it makes me on the net side of it, Alex. It's funny because it makes the Knicks better. It does.
Yeah.
But I think long term, it's going to benefit the Nets with those draft picks. I can't see Karl Anthony Towns in 4 years and then at $60 million and being like, let's say the Knicks even do win 2 titles. I'm talking about long-term investment for the Nets.
5 years.
I can't see the Knicks being like, they're still running it back with Towns and in my
Brunson's got to get paid soon. You know what I mean? I know he just resigned, but like he's gonna have to get that super max.
So both can be true to me. I think this makes the Knicks better in the short term and will help the Nets with their draft picks in the long term. I firmly believe both. I think it helps the Knicks where they now have a legitimate second star that goes along with Brunson, but at the same time, with the way he's going to age and the way his game plays, he's a center that plays out at the 3. Like, once he loses a step, he's in trouble. It's going to help the Nets in the long term. And in my mind right now, Alex, I've gone to this point of where I think the Knicks are one of the 6 teams that can win an NBA championship, whatever that is. Figure it out.
And that's great. That's all you want as a fan. Right.
So in my mind, when this trade happened, I'm just like, I'm already past that point. Maybe not as at the extreme amount, because I think when the Nets acquired James Harden and they had Kyrie and Durant, I can't. I think for your head, you had told me, you're like, wow, okay, this team.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
This time I'm just like, okay, the Knicks, okay, go for it. It didn't have the bug me effect because I think the Knicks are already at that point.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, okay, it makes them better, but there's definitely now room for some bizarre shit
That's
to
what I'm
happen.
saying. A
And
question mark.
don't worry about Towns in the New York media. There's this misconception that in New York it's really tough. You don't have to speak to the media when you're on the Knicks. So Carl, don't worry about it. You're safe.
If you don't want to talk, you don't have to talk. Yeah, exactly.
Fine.
That's
We
a
haven't
good
heard
point.
from Leon Rose
It's a
like
solid
I'd
point.
love to hear from Leon Rose right now.
I don't think he speaks. I think
Training
he's just
ca-
mute.
See
I think he just
this to
types to
me.
everybody. Yeah.
This to me. I mean, training camp's literally about to start. They just made a trade that is. See, this is failed. I think he should talk because it's a little bit failed leadership. If you make this kind of trade, I think it's unfair to put it all on the coach and the player to take the brunt of the questions when there's a lot that should be on his shoulders here.
Oh yeah.
I really like that Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart's going to have to go out there and answer these, and they'll be fine. Hey, DiVincenzo was our best buddy. This is a
Monday's
trade
media day, Mike. Monday is media day for the Knicks.
I really think this would be an opportunity for Leon Rose to speak, and
He
this
won't.
is I think
He
he
won't.
should. This
Or
after
do a
making it-
softball interview with Mike Breen or something on MSG or Bill Pito,
just
something like
take the
that.
questions. This
Yeah.
is he should do it. He should do because
Right now, this is what we're doing. We're going
he
all
should
in.
do it to
Win a
deflect
championship.
because
Yeah.
the players are going to have to get these questions, and it's not
Right.
fair to them.
Right. Tibbs, especially, is going to have
Tibbs
to.
is the one. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean they'll answer. They'll take the Brian Dable approach of no answers. But my God,
Yeah. Media
Love to
day
hear
Monday,
from him.
man. I don't know if the trade will even be final then.
It
So
won't.
what is it? What are the NBA rules on media day? Does Randle have to go to Knicks media day?
He won't be there. Stop it.
I don't know what the rules are. It's not
He
official.
won't be there.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's going to be weird. They better make this. I feel like they're going to work overtime today, Saturday. It's Saturday night and Sunday all day before Knicks media day starts at, let me see, 11 a.m. on Monday. So I think the trade will be done by then. I think we're starting to see a lot of the rumors and the breadcrumbs out there from different reporters and different players and who's going to go where, Christian Winfield of the world, and even what's his name that just stopped being Fred Katz is putting out some stuff. And the Hornets are going to be involved. It's happening. It's going to happen. It's going to happen quick. It's not like the Nets and the Knicks where it's whenever the trade happened months ago and they had so much time they can take their time and figure shit out. Right now, this has got to be done. They can't go to media day and be like, I don't know. He's not on the team. Where's Randle? I don't know. They got to be like, they got to know. They can't show up with a guy who might get traded in 10 minutes, show up and wear the Knick jersey at media day. You know what I mean? So it's going to be weird. Seeing Randle in a Timberwolves uniform is going to be weird. It's going to be very strange. Yeah. And I feel bad. Honestly, I feel bad for Julius Randle's family. Like I really do. I know they're millionaires. I know nobody cares about millionaires' feelings and things like that. But Julius Randle has a family. His kids are probably enrolled in school. They can't leave school now. It's the end of September. You know what I mean? They can't just move to Minnesota. They got to wait until at least the end of the semester, mid-year or something, and then move and then transfer. And then they're uprooting your whole family. And now Randle's going to be in Minnesota by himself for a little bit. And, that's kind of sucks, man. You know what I mean? And Randle's kid loved being he's a Knicks fan and loved being at the games. And I know he'll love being in Minnesota and love being with his dad. But it's not the same, man. It's gonna the winters in Minnesota are rough. You know what I mean? That's a rough place to be. So like a lot of times, just when like LeBron went to Miami, his family didn't come until the second year he was in Miami. And that's what, a lot of his, he blamed it. I mean, it's LeBron excuses, losing the finals and not playing up to par sometimes in that first year was because he wasn't with his family. And it was the first time he was ever not with his family. So, maybe there's some truth to that. I mean, these guys are human. They're not robots, so we'll see. I know nobody cares about Minnesota, so whatever.
That's not true. They've got a good basketball tradition.
No, I mean, like Knicks fans or Net fans don't really care. Yeah.
I will say, I think for Randle and DiVincenzo, though, they're going to a winning team. This is a team that went to the Western Conference Finals last year, and they
with a
have
dog
really,
and Anthony Edwards.
They have a good roster. So it's not like they're going to a bad basketball team.
Not going to Detroit, right?
They're going to still win. Right. And they're going to compete, and they're going to give productive, important minutes.
Knicks Timberwolves
Um,
finals will be crazy. Can you imagine that?
I would predict that does not happen if I had to, but you never know. I guess it
You
could be.
never know.
I mean, it could be possible.
That's a good storyline. I mean, that it really
Yes,
is.
it
That's
would
a
be
really good
against
storyline.
Julius Randle 3 game 7 in the Garden to win.
Oh my god. It would probably be DiVincenzo. But
Oh
yes.
man, DiVincenzo, by the way, the second leading scorer for the Knicks in the playoffs last year.
Set the record for most 3-pointers in Knicks history in a season.
I guess maybe
And didn't even play the first month of the year. Like, you know what I mean?
To what you were
Yeah.
saying before, maybe Landry Shamet becomes
Oh,
DiVincenzo with
yeah.
the Knicks system.
Yeah,
Probably
that's what I feel
not.
about that. No.
Probably not.
No. Maybe campaign, right? Yeah, he'll do some dances in
Campaign's
the summer.
fine.
Yeah.
Campaign's
Whatever.
fine. I mean, he was on Philly last year. He had a couple good moments.
Yeah, he did hit some threes in the playoffs against the Knicks. That's for
I mean,
sure.
Carl
That was
Anthony
weird.
Towns, Joel Embiid. That's exciting. Jeez.
I think they really believe in Tyler Kolek and Deuce McBride, like as their bench with Precious Achua. And like I just
I can hear
I
it in
just
your voice. You don't have the same.
I don't. The
You're
confidence
not
is
the
gone.
same.
It's
You're
not
not
the
the.
same.
You're not the same. Doesn't mean you're right or wrong, and only time will tell. But like, we've been doing this a long time, and I can read you.
Yeah.
When the OG Anunoby trade happened, you were angry.
Right.
When
Well, I
the
loved RJ and quickly. Yes,
you
that's
were
what
you
it's
were
really what. Yeah.
angry, and you thought the Knicks would be worse.
I was wrong.
You were wrong. When they traded for Mikal, you were giddy. They didn't give up any players, so they just added.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave up
Bogdanovich, whatever.
picks but from a talent standpoint, they added him there, and you were just like, this team is winning a title. You've lost a cockiness to you, and this doesn't for anybody listening. This your feelings on how the team will or will not do does not change what will actually happen on the court.
Of course not. No, no, no.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
But I can hear in your voice there is not the same like chest pumping cockiness, confidence is not as much there on episode 238.
Yes. Yes. 238. Yeah, that's the thing. Going in, Knicks, I thought they could have won a championship last year, and they had the injuries, and then they add Mikal Bridges basically for Bogdanovich and draft picks, but who cares about that? We're trying to win a championship.
For you,
and
for you.
For me, and it's just whatever. We're winning a championship. That's it. It's over. Knicks are going all the way. And I was like 100% confident. I went on with Dexter Henry. We went to SNY. It was happening. I'm like, yo, this is happening. Now with Towns, yes, on paper it's a fit, but I don't know. I haven't seen it. You know what I mean? I saw it before last year. I saw it, and I know Mikal Bridges will fit right in with the Knicks, with the Villanova players and the Villanova Four and the rest of the Knicks. They all bought in. Julius Randle knows his role. Jalen Brunson got crowned the captain, and it's his team, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen now. Mitchell Robinson's got to get healthy. Yeah, we lost Hartenstein, but whatever. We're gonna be fine. Mitch is gonna step up. Now, the Knicks have a $50 million a year question mark.
It's not that much of it, but it's not a
It's a question mark, man, because we don't know how they're going to fit. We don't on paper it fits, but we don't know. You know what I mean?
They'll fit.
It hasn't happened yet. I haven't seen it.
They're going.
Everybody's shocked. Everybody's shocked. It's not like Towns is like, trade me to the Knicks. We don't know. Yeah, he grew up a Knicks fan. Yeah, he's from Jersey, but he wasn't like, I want to leave Minnesota right now. He loved it there. So.
Yeah. Him and
it's a question mark, man. It's not the same confidence. It's really not, and that's the scary part, man. That's the scary part for me. Like, I'm gonna need to see it. Like, let's say they start off 15-2, then I'm like, all right, it's good. This is working. You know what I'm saying? But right now, on September 28th or 29th, whenever you're listening to this, I'm not as confident as I was before the Towns trade. I'm not. That doesn't mean I hate the trade. That doesn't mean I'm angry at the trade. It just means I am just indifferent now.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping. I don't know anymore.
There's so much netsiness to that. It so is. I mean, it's not to the same level, but there is some netsiness to us where you were like, they got Durant and Kyrie, they're done. And then all of a sudden you're like, we're gonna get Harden. And it just unraveled.
Mm.
And not, I don't, like I said, I put the I put the disclaimer here earlier because this is not. I don't want this to be like, oh, Mike hates, but there's something about Towns and what's his history in New York feels like something could happen. Like he's just had stuff, and now he's with the Knicks where it's going to be magnified. There's a potential for it to happen. From my point of view, I love this because at least it creates more fun for me watching this when I'm already just like Nets are going to a tank season. At least now there's some juiciness added into it. And how about the Villanova 4? I'm just glad I don't have to hear about that anymore.
Well, you got Villanova 3. You got the 3 again.
Did you hear my instant reaction podcast?
I actually have not heard it yet. Sorry.
I ended it by saying this. Josh Hart, you're next. Be careful.
Well, he hosts the podcast, so you just got to be a guest on the podcast to get traded.
You never know.
Or lose or leave the team. Hartenstein, Randle, DiVincenzo, all gone.
If there's you never know, man. Josh Hart's next.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't say anything anymore. I have no idea. What
would you have said last night if I wasn't sleeping?
I would have done my I don't know. I was in more shock last night than I am now. Honestly, when the trade happened, I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to talk about it. I just like wanted to have that therapy session. I just needed to talk to somebody. I reached out to Troy on Knicks Recap, but he was already recording, and I missed that boat. And then I reached out to State New York podcast. I was like, "Yo, let's do something. Somebody put a podcast on. Let's do it." You know what I mean? And it wasn't the right fit. So I was just like, "All right, it's not happening tonight." But that's why I had to record. I'm like, I had to do something. I had to
Nets
talk.
Fan was unavailable. Hi, you reached the Nets fan. I'm not here right now. Please.
I told you. I talked to your wife and Jess. She told me. She's like, Mike picked up the phone and saw I was calling and saw the Towns was traded. And he said, "Oh, fuck this. I'm going to sleep."
Jess was asleep 45 minutes before me. There's no shot. It is funny though because when I put the phone purposely, so I'm watching the Mets on my phone in bed.
Yeah.
And when it went to 6-2 runners on first and third, I said, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to keep watching, but I said, I'm going to go to sleep. And I felt
the Mets are pretenders. That's why you knew. You knew the Mets are pretenders. You knew that they were going to lose. And that's what's happening.
Stop it. You're not even a Met fan.
I am a Mets fan, but this team didn't have it, man. And they're blowing it again.
Whoa, hold on. They're not out of it yet.
It's over.
Let's look at the Diamondbacks.
It's over, bro. They're not winning another game. Maybe one more game.
The Diamondbacks lost 5-0. That's big. The Mets need to win one game in the last 3. Stop it.
I mean, Mike, don't tell me you haven't seen this before.
I've seen it a million times, but stop it.
So you know what's happening. Lindor's hurt. He's not coming back. It's just his.
Lindor's played the last couple
kidding.
games.
I'm kidding. He's
like I said, the Mets.
I'm kidding. I was just trying to piss you off.
Hold on. I was trying to make a point about something.
Pete Alonso is Lucas Duda with a funny nickname. That's all
I was trying to say.
I'm kidding.
Trying to say something about going to sleep. I put the phone on silent. I felt guilty because I was like, I'm gonna not watch the last couple innings of the Met game.
Yeah.
And then it turned out I missed so much more. Which, by the way, I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
Because if I did not have my phone on silent,
you would have never slept. Yeah.
I would have had to do some podcast.
Oh my God. We would have done 2 hours live.
Oh, and it would have been,
we'd still be talking.
And it would have been 1:25 in the morning. And then I would have it's just
dude, and scrolling Twitter, seeing all the stories, who's coming where.
When the Mikel trade happened, it was in the 8th inning of Mets Yankees. And again, I like watching these games on my phone in bed.
Right.
And the Woj tweet popped up on my phone when the Aaron Judge home run was going on over the Yankee Mets. Mets won that game, but it was in the 8th inning, and I was like, all right, I'm getting ready for I was.
You were like
landing the plane,
circling the drain, right?
When that trade happened, I was up for another 4 hours, and I don't think this would have had a 4-hour effect on me.
No, because that was at Nets. That was Knicks. Nets.
I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm so glad I missed it.
Oh man. Yeah. Isn't it funny how like you're in dreamland sleeping, it's just a regular
Yeah.
Friday night, and then you wake up and they're like, oh my God, there was a world war last night.
It's
Yeah.
true how social media changed stuff. So
Yeah.
my dad
Yeah.
did not know about the trade. My dad found out about the trade from your post on YouTube.
Oh, really?
He texted me. He was scrolling his phone and he
Yeah.
found out because my dad's not on Twitter,
Of
so he
course.
doesn't see things.
Your
But he's
dad's
on
great,
YouTube,
by the way. Yeah. Yeah.
so he found out of the trade from your YouTube video.
It's like, what? That's great.
And then it's because it's funny. We talked in the morning. He goes, I guess if he found out I fell asleep, not from me, but from you. He goes,
Some
I
breaking
guess he,
news in
he
the
goes,
family.
he goes, yeah, I was gonna text you, but Alex said you were sleeping.
Funniest thing is that I would, like I said in my instant reaction video, I was my wife was on the phone for a long time with her friend. One of those like 4 hour phone calls that, you know, women can have with their best friends about life and whatever. And I'm just like still in my clothes, just chilling on the couch, watching the Mets, looking at
Still
my
in your
phone more than watching the Mets. Son was asleep. I'm just like finally relaxed. It's a Friday night. We went out to dinner, and all of a sudden I get a text message from my brother-in-law who's diehard hockey fan. He loves sports, so like he knows I like the Knicks. He follows the Knicks like very casually, but he likes basketball. And that's what I was like, how like I was like, what? Like out of all the people to break the news to me, him breaking a basketball story to me is insane. And it was shocking. It was jarring. I had to. I was like, there's no way this is real. You know what I mean? There's no way this is real. So
Well, I did. So I see the we're on a thread with Spen Harris,
yes,
Fireside Nets, who does a
shout
great
out Spen.
job.
Yeah,
Great job, Spen. We love Spen.
yes, Ben.
And
Well,
he
easy. We're giving him a big head. He's already got a big enough head.
no, we're not going to give him head. Relax. So it says he sent the tweet, and then you wrote, "Oh my God!" He wrote emergency pod, and then you wrote, "I called Mike 3 times. He's asleep." Spen wrote, "Oof."
See, everybody knows.
Yeah, it was funny. I
Yeah.
know,
Ah.
but I'm glad I got that sleep, man.
But are you proud of me though, Mike? I didn't spend the night firing away tweets. I didn't spend the morning firing away tweets
I've
like I usually
muted
do
you.
in
What
those.
did you? What did you?
No,
say?
I didn't. I did the video and I sent like 2 or 3 tweets of random thoughts. And you know, first I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in shock." Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, there's 3 tweets of me like reacting to the Mets game and watching Vientos, you know, like one of those. And then, you know, it's like, what? I'm in absolute shock. And then I dropped the video and a couple tweets of like Towns and this and that, and that's it. Done.
Good for
Usually,
you.
I if something like that, I'm like Mikal Bridges trade. I'm sure I sent 35 tweets that night.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is.
No,
You
I'm
know,
glad you didn't. You had self control.
I because it's just like then I get myself into trouble, and then I end up getting in the comments, and then I start arguing with like
Yeah.
people with no face. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? It's just stupid.
Yeah. Well, I've tried personally to cut back on it, and I
Yeah.
have, but I've done a really good job.
So
But I am worried about when the season starts.
it's gonna be
You
tough.
know, get back.
Well, there was a tweet from you, Mike Delivers Pod,
When was
at
this?
9:15 p.m., 9:28 on tonight. Let this be the 8th inning we remember forever. And the
Yeah,
Mets at
dude.
1, 2, 3 down.
Terrible.
Just like I was gonna update you, and I was just like, I'm a Mets fan too, so I was just like, all right, I'll just
Yeah,
let
like
that
I
go.
said, you don't like the Mets. You're rooting for them to lose.
I
so you
love
can-
the Mets, but
you don't.
I told you this whole time I didn't have that feeling. I just don't have that feeling.
Well, they've
I just
lost
feel like it's
three in a
over.
row. They've
feel
lost
like it's
three
over.
in a row, but they're one back of Atlanta. They are. It's a weird thing because they are one loss behind Arizona, but one loss ahead, which is more important because you can't make up losses. You can make up wins. So Arizona has their final game of the season tomorrow. That's a big game.
Yeah.
You know, the Mets are basically tied with Arizona, but they have 3 left and they have 1. So let's say Arizona wins. That means that I guess the Mets need to win 2 of 3, but if Arizona loses, they would have to win 1 of 3. I think that's how that would work. If I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but that's an educated guess on that. But they still control their own destiny.
They do.
Yeah, they got 2. They got to win 2 out of 3.
No.
This would be really disappointed if they didn't make the playoffs because of how just fuck. This would
It's
be very
crazy.
Metsy.
Yeah, no, the Mets and the Diamondbacks have the same winning percentage. So the
But
Mets are
they've won
87,
less. They've
72.
won, but the loss.
Yeah, and Arizona's 88 and 73. So
They have that 73.
and the Mets have
Tomorrow's game.
the fucking doubleheader Monday to end it. Like with the baseball, fuck the Mets.
It
It's
does.
so bad.
What'll happen is they'll say the Mets need to win one in Atlanta to make the playoffs. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
And
And what's gonna happen? What is the history of this franchise in Atlanta?
I hate
in
the
big games.
Yeah, but the Monday at like those
With the world watching, the Mets are gonna lose 12-0
time.
and 7-2.
the
Like
worst
that's
time too because it's a Monday afternoon. It's just like not an
Ugh.
ideal time to watch baseball.
yeah.
I mean, just work.
I
And
mean, whatever.
meetings and life.
Work from home that day and watch
No,
the
I'm
game.
working from home, but
Yeah.
it's just I can't.
You can't just watch the game. No, I know.
No,
You got to focus on work. Yes, I get it. Me too.
Right.
But I'll still watch it. They'll have it on.
No, of course it'll.
Oh boy. So the Knicks have Towns.
All right, this has been Bad Weather Fans. This is episode 238. I think we're good. Don't forget,
Yes.
should have gone live. Don't forget to subscribe. Please do it on YouTube. By the way,
Don't sleep anymore. Just the moral of the story is just don't ever sleep. You know, that's all. Or set your alerts. By the way, question: do you still follow Woj or did you unfollow Woj? Because I unfollowed him instantly. He's like,
You
I'm
know,
no longer breaking news. Like, okay, unfollow.
probably. I think I
No
still
need.
follow.
Yeah. For what?
It didn't
St.
cross my mind.
Bonaventure,
It didn't cross my mind to unfollow him.
I did instantly. I wanted to know how many people he lost. I know he has like 100 million followers, so it doesn't matter. But like, I guarantee he lost like a few 100,000. You know what I mean? Right off the bat. Just like, why do I follow you? You know what I mean? Like, are people following Shams if he's not breaking news, or
no?
Ryan
Do you think
Windhorst?
he? So who's gonna eat? Did somebody say Jeff
I heard it's gonna be Jeff
Passan?
Passan. Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. Like, you can't just
How does
hand
that work?
a baseball writer the NBA stories. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's weird. Just
Right,
it should be Windhorst. I mean, obviously,
but it's about connections.
right. And Windhorst has connections, and he's paid his dues. He's like the guy there now. I mean, it should be him. To be honest,
I guess maybe my unclarity here is it should be him, but isn't this something where like you need to be able to do it? Like, are you
right. Woj
qualified
came into
as
ESPN with the
and-
connections and
and
says, I'm this guy here. I'm doing this at Yahoo. You know,
Right. And I'm not.
Yeah.
And I'm not. This is not. And people always say, "Oh, if you say this first, you're minimizing." No, this is not minimizing. I think that Woj is so light years above with his contacts. Like, can somebody just fill in? It's like, oh, Michael Jordan retired. Craig Hodges is the guy. Yes, he's at that spot, but can you be as efficient in what he was doing? It's not like
Right.
you just like you're not Woj isn't just like, all right,
everybody contact Jeff.
here's
Yeah.
my cell phone. If you need info from the Bulls, here's Tony. If you need
Right.
info, like how does that
What
work?
if the agencies don't like Jeff Passan and they're like, I
Right.
don't want to give him the stories, and then he's the guy, and then
So with that-
it'd be weird if a baseball guy starts getting the stories for sure.
So at that point, to me, it's not even like Woj is an insider. He's just a project manager that's really good at relaying information.
Right, right, and he's got a
But
team. He's not even sending out his own tweets, and like that's
Yeah, I don't know.
very strange.
Strange.
That was weird. I didn't like
Yeah.
that at all. That was like when I remember when there was rumors about with the Browns and who they were going to hire. Like they were going to hire Condoleezza Rice to run the team. You know what I mean? It's just, what are we doing? And then it never happened, obviously. And so
I have a great Condoleezza Rice story for another time. I have a great.
Who says that? I have a great Condoleezza Rice story.
I do, but I can't do it. I have a great Condoleezza Rice story.
The best part is I know you're not kidding.
All right, Bad Weather Fans, episode 238. See you later, Alex. Go fuck yourself. Good night.
Good night.